Hi, I'm Michael Hennessy from Teagasc. I'm the head of the crops knowledge transfer. So I'm going to do just a little bit of a piece here about potatoes in terms of quality and what integrated management farmers do, and also a little bit on storage. So in terms of the integrated management of potatoes, the thing I'm going to focus on is potato scab. So scab, if you like, is a blemish on potatoes. So as you can see from here, you have a perfect potato here. You have no blemishes on it whatsoever, versus some small blemishes caused by scab on this particular potato here. So how does that happen? And what does the farmer do to try and prevent that? So basically, the organism responsible for scab is basically in all soils. It's more common in higher pH soils than lower pH soils. So a farmer has to be quite conscious of that. But it is everywhere. And it can infect essentially all potatoes. Some are a little bit more resistant than others to scab, but essentially most potatoes are going to be, to a degree, some way affected by it. So essentially it happens at a particular stage in the development of the potato. And you can see over here on that picture, you have a developing potato here, a little small one at the end of a root. And it's at that critical stage we need to have a particular management technique. Essentially you need soil, at this stage you need soil nice and moist around that particular potato, or the scab gets into the pores in the potato and infects it at that stage. So what a farmer simply does is, he's checking at that critical stage to ensure the soil is wet enough to basically stop that getting in. So in order for it to be wet enough, the soil needs to have lots of rain on it, or the farmer intersects and puts irrigation on. So it's either one or the other. So, and they use great big irrigation guns, applying on probably once a week. And there's a very critical time that's applied. So for the likes of Rooster, from 50% emergence, it's applied, give or take about 30 days after 50% emergence is that critical time. And that's the irrigation, and the farmer's checking that field for probably another 5 to 6 weeks after that to make sure that the soil is right. And if it is, you're going to end up with a nice clean potato versus one with scab on it. So it's a really nice integrated management technique. The second one I want to talk about is potatoes and potato storage. So potatoes essentially are a living thing, a living item. And what they want to do is they want to essentially grow. That's really what they want to do. After a small phase after harvest, they kind of go into dormancy, but once they break dormancy, they come out, and all they want to do is grow and produce more new potatoes, if you like. So they are a living entity, so they produce water, a bit of heat, and also CO2. That's what we do in terms of respiring. So if you ever went to your cupboard and had a look in there for potatoes that might have been there for a while, you're going to end up seeing a potato like this, throwing out an awful lot of shoots, trying to grow a new one. So what the farmer's trying to do is the farmer's trying to stop this happening so that you can have a potato that's ready to eat in either April or May or June or all the way along there. So essentially most potatoes are going to try and be stored for a period of time. So what we can do is we can keep them cool. So cool them down to about 2 to 3 degrees. So all potatoes that are harvested in around now are going to end up in a great big refrigerated store. So it's great big sheds that are fully insulated with a great big fridge on the side of them, and they're stacked up into boxes, 1 ton boxes, 7 or 8 or 9 high. And a farmer blows air, nice cold air through those, and monitors how that's going to happen to try and keep them at that particular 2 to 3 degrees all the way through the season. So a farmer, even within that, needs to monitor that store to ensure that all the way through the store they're maintaining 2 to 3 degrees in all these boxes in it, because you can have stores from maybe 400 tons up as far as 1,000 or maybe even 2,000 tons. They need to monitor the temperature within it, but they also need to monitor the carbon dioxide, because that's what potatoes produce, and they also need to monitor the relative humidity. If it gets too moist, you tend to get potatoes that can get very wet, and that'll encourage diseases, or they can actually rot in the box. Or if it gets too dry, you end up with a potato that becomes all rubbery. It actually loses moisture, becomes rubbery, not hard like you'd like to buy it, and essentially again an unsaleable type potato. So this is the last phase before potatoes are taken out of the box. They are sorted, washed, put in a plastic bag, and on your shelf out in Lidl or Aldi or Tesco or wherever you buy them.